Hello and welcome back to Underlab. Today I'm going to talk about the worst character in Undertale. That's right, the objective worst, the absolute criminal at the heart of all things bad within the game. No, I don't mean the character I like the least. Instead, I'll be talking about which character has the least integrity, the least kindness, and in other words doesn't represent the 6 major traits that are described in-game. For the sake of this, I'm disqualifying Flowey by default, as he'd surely win in a heartbeat. So let's find out who the worst character in Undertale is. So what were the 6 traits I mentioned? I'm specifically referring to bravery, justice, kindness, patience, integrity, and perseverance. These are the traits of the 6 humans who fell down Mount Ebert, and for whatever reason, they seem to be a recurring theme throughout the game. While fighting Papyrus, our soul is turned to dark blue, the colour of integrity, while we have to deal with light blue attacks, the colour of patience. Undyne turns our soul green, the colour of kindness, and so forth. They seem to be integral to the story of the game, though it's never really explained why. After all that was ever needed was their power to shatter the barrier. Their characteristics never seem to matter, but perhaps they do, as we need to show all 6 traits on the pacifist path in order to get the happiest ending. So, which character within Undertale strays the furthest from these noble traits? Let's find out. Toriel within the ruins is very eccentric, likely due to having to live within isolation for so long. However, this hasn't limited her affinity for compassion, and she's one of the most caring monsters we meet within the entire game. If we allowed her to, she'd look after us within her home for the rest of time, though unfortunately we need to get past her and continue our adventure. Kindness then is in no short supply with Toriel. She must be quite patient for remaining within the ruins for so long. After all, she could have left at any time, but she instead chose to wait in order to protect any humans that might fall down. Toriel isn't perfect though. One thing slightly warped about her is her sense of justice. She feels justified keeping you within the ruins for the sake of your safety, despite the fact she's completely denying you your future. Rather than venture out with you to protect you, she'd rather keep you at home with her, likely due in part because of how much she misses Azrael. Toriel clearly isn't the worst, there's just some flaws in her judgment. Moving on, and we meet Sans. Sans epitomises justice within the world of Undertale, as he makes the final judgment upon us before we fight Asgore. He's also one of the few major monsters who never attacks us outright unless we truly deserve it, particularly should we go on the genocide path. He also shows us kindness by generally treating us as a friend, if only because he made a promise to Toriel. It's hard to deny that he has integrity either, as he keeps to that promise I mentioned even if we kill his brother Papyrus, showing a great amount of resolve from the skeleton. One thing he lacks though is perseverance. Sans gave up long ago when he found out that everything at one point just ends, though that may only be on the genocide path. Otherwise he's a nihilist for no real reason. Perhaps he gave up hoping that the barrier can be destroyed ever since Gaster disappeared. One way or another his sense of perseverance is completely lacking, and it takes us going on the genocide route to rekindle it within him, to give him something to fight for. Papyrus meanwhile is surely the opposite of his brother in that regard. There couldn't be a more persevering character within the game, as Papyrus is absolutely obsessed with capturing a human, and nothing is going to stop him until he does. Another thing Papyrus is known for is his esteemed sense of kindness. He allows us to pass should we beat him 3 times, and he'll never kill us. Instead, he only captures us in the hopes of impressing Undyne. He's also undeniably brave, as he stands up to us on the genocide path and does his best to talk us out of what we're doing. One thing he completely lacks though is patience. We see him fretting the very first time we encounter him within the game, stamping his foot because he's just that desperate to capture a human. That ties into our next character, Undyne, who also seems to be lacking any understanding of patience whatsoever. She's also very brave, as she knows she's standing up to someone who could defeat her in a single blow. However, she's lacking in kindness, as she'll even acknowledge our good acts should we go down the pacifist route, though she doesn't seem to care. Killing us is still her top priority. Just like Papyrus, she's very perseverant, though with a helping of added lethality. Her integrity also seems to be in check, as she shows loyalty to the kingdom and a strong desire to protect the innocent, at least if they're a monster. Moving on to Alphys, and we meet a monster who sincerely wishes to do what's best for the rest of her species. Therefore, she shows a great level of kindness through how she wishes to help all monster kind on a mass scale. She also seems pretty patient, as she only interferes with your journey once you reach her, despite becoming obsessed with your quest to escape. However, Alphys does lack a lot of things. She isn't very brave, and is in fact one of the more cowardly monsters within the game. She runs away from her problems, especially those within the true laboratory, rather than facing them head on. Her sense of perseverance is also evidently diminished, as she seems to have given up with her bigger experiments ever since her failure that led to the creation of the amalgamates. Finally, she doesn't seem to have too much integrity, as the experiment that led to the creation of the amalgamates was highly unethical, and some of her work borders on that that of being a mad scientist. One character also without too much integrity is her creation, Mettaton. He seems willing to kill the human just for his chance at making it big on the surface, and he even goes against Alfie's wishes by attacking you directly. Originally, she only wanted him to pretend to attack you, so that she could earn your trust. It's hard to rate his sense of patience and bravery, as there's few situations that demand it from him, but we can tell that he's very impatient to show off to the outside world. Mettaton isn't without any empathy to speak of though, as he shows compassion when his cousin Napstablook phones in, and he realises how much he values his fans. Muffet on the other hand doesn't seem to care too much about being kind, and instead is far more focused on driving the highest profit she possibly can. She shows no real integrity whatsoever as she hikes up the prices of her spider-themed confectionaries to astronomical heights, and yet she still expects people to pay. She also isn't terribly patient as she attacks us outright without waiting for the memo from the ruins, which informs her that she has no reason to kill us. One thing that isn't entirely lacking with her is her grasp over justice, as she at least seems to be angry at us in defense of her fellow spiders. Other than that, Muffet isn't looking too great. She's a very unscrupulous character, even with her fellow monsters. Of course, we can't wrap up this video without first talking about Asgore. He's a very curious character, as the exact alignment of his morals is difficult to tell for certain. While he is kind and friendly towards us, he also wants us dead, as he needs our soul in order to break the barrier. It's hard to call him justified in his ways, especially on the pacifist path where Toriel intervenes and stops him, because our character is completely innocent in that case. Asgore seems to be a character who possessed perhaps all 6 noble traits at one time, though they've tarnished over the years as he's become more desperate to escape the underground and to appease his people. 2 things he hasn't lost though is his perseverance and patience, and he waits for us within his home until the very end of the game. So who is the worst character within Undertale? Remember, the criteria I'm judging them by is how much they lack the 6 traits the 6 humans once had, and it's nothing to do with how much I personally like them on a subjective level. Is it Kara or Chara? Well, that's a character who debatably isn't even alive during Undertale, so I won't be including them. Out of the characters I've mentioned, I'd rate Alfie's at 3rd place for her extreme cowardice and because she repeatedly lies throughout the game. Mettaton comes in 2nd as he cares for nothing but himself until we show him the error of his ways, and number 1 would have to be Muffet, who really seems to care about almost nothing other than her precious spiders and making a profit. What I'm saying is Muffet lacks the most morals and virtues of the various monsters I detailed throughout this video. She's still an adorable spider creature and a favourite character of many, myself included, though if she really existed, chances are you wouldn't want to meet her, as you'd likely end up as part of a cake or pie. Anyhow, I'm off before I'm burned at stake by people who haven't been listening for the past 10 minutes or so and think I'm saying that I don't like Muffet. Well, that's it for today's slightly different episode. Sorry for being away for so long, but I had to get my computer fixed. After all, if the Underlab exploded, then how could I possibly keep making videos? And what would happen to all my precious experiments? Anyhow, be sure to let me know what you thought. Do you agree that Muffet lacks the most positive traits out of any character in Undertale, disqualifying Flowey and Chara? And even though it wasn't the point of the video, which character do you like the least? I personally love them all, and that's why I always say that there's no one I like the most. But there also isn't anyone I don't like either. I actually like Muffet as a character a lot. I just doubt that meeting her for real would be the most pleasant experience. Then again, it probably wouldn't be with most monsters, considering how the majority of them want all humans dead. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't go killing any spiders and irritating Muffet, and I'll see you next time. Before I go, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to my patrons. My head scientists Asgore and She, Cameron Vigil, Kay Jensen, Sophronius, and Zoada Vionta, and my Underlab scientists Crystal Sleet, Nicholas Dux, Armin Arlett, Marisa Ray, Corey Kidwell, Yusho Crony, Sarah Wydra, and Emily Gatewood. Thanks to all the names you see here, this channel is able to keep going. If you enjoyed this video, please consider checking out the Patreon link below, as well as the video that explains why I'd so massively appreciate your contribution.